I'm not necessarily a modernist, but I'm not necessarily a traditionalist either. When we're looking at, my ideology and the philosophies surrounding dating and relationships, our perspective probably is pretty similar to my political perspectives. It's, I believe people have the freedom to do what the fuck they want to do. But at the same time as people have that freedom, I believe that certain aspects of what created traditional values are natural. They're natural. Now, it's not natural for everybody. It's not natural for every relationship. It's not natural for every person. But when you get your energies aligned, you get certain things together, then those things tend to be a natural way that relationships work. Now, people try to use social programming, or people try to use, tradition and shaming and pressure to create these dynamics, but that does not work. Like, maybe sometime a long time ago where a woman would get stoned for cheating on her husband, but using the Bible and beating up a woman upside the head with Bible scripture saying submit to your husband, that shit does not work. Especially not in the black community, that shit don't work. But does that mean that woman has never been feminine and submissive with a man in her life? Maybe, maybe not. Does that mean she doesn't have the capacity? Just because you can't just try to force a law onto that woman to get her to do something that doesn't feel natural to her? No, that's not what that means. But there is a natural way that the femininity and submissiveness occurs. There's a natural way that a man steps into his dominant masculine energy and can have those experiences. So, would I say I'm a modern traditionalist? I don't know. Maybe I need to figure out a term for that, right? Whatever it is. But it's more so I just believe people should have freedom to make the choices that they want to make, but that you have to give people enough space to make the right decision. I'm not saying that I don't think that there's a right decision. Certain decisions are going to be better for some people than others, but for the most part, there are certain dynamics in relationships that tend to be more beneficial, right? There are certain things and characteristics about how men think versus how women think, and how we're built and how we're structured, how our energies work, how our psychology is processed, that make certain dynamics of relationships more efficient, just on a general basis. And a lot of people, they try to force that through tradition, right? And that doesn't really work, right? It doesn't work. Now, there are times where it used to work, but that doesn't work anymore because women have their own money now. Women can provide for themselves. Also, that doesn't work anymore because men are more consciously aware. Like, the general populace of men are more consciously aware that women are open to having casual sex and that women enjoy sex for the sake of sex. Two of the primary things that kept traditional dating afloat were men believing that you had to be a woman's at least long-term boyfriend to her husband to have sex with her, to have sexual access to her, believing that she didn't desire to do it for her own reasons. And then also a woman not having the ability to provide for herself financially, so she needed a man to provide for her in order to survive, in order to get out her parents' house to have sex at all. And once women began to get their own money, could provide for themselves, and once men no longer saw it as a chivalrous or a thing that adds value to a man's life to wait for sex, and it doesn't anymore. It doesn't add value to a man's life versus how things used to be. And that's not necessarily a good or a bad thing. It's just how things are. And when you understand that, you say, okay, cool. Well, the main process of traditional dating is a woman trading her sexual access to a man in order for him to give her non-sexual access to him. And he would give the non-sexual access to himself first, and that would be financially, emotionally, commitment-wise. This would build up a certain desire in him to take care of the woman, right? But neither one of those things is how things work anymore. So that's why I'm not for traditional dating. I'm not for traditional necessarily relationships. But there are certain aspects of traditional relationships that I still think are good for both men and women. I'm not the biggest guy on gender roles. I can cook. Most women that I've been with, I could cook better than them. I think most women I've been with, I'm a college student. Most women I've been with have more money than me. But you know what I realized? That didn't affect their ability to be feminine and submissive with me. Money hasn't really played a factor in that. That's something you got to understand. It's like when you understand that money doesn't play as big of a factor in it, then what you got to understand is that there's a natural masculine feminine dynamic that can occur in relationships. And when the premise of that desire for a traditional relationship is premised on what they used to be, and it's not about masculine energy and feminine energy or about sexual desire and compatibility, it is not about a man having emotional discipline and masculinity, it's just about the transaction that you're making in a reciprocal fashion, then you get certain situations like the arguments that happen in the Kevin Samuels groups, where they're like, oh, women aren't good anymore, traditional women were so much better. A lot of them women were miserable. They didn't want to fuck your granddaddy like that. They had to do that to survive. A lot of your granddaddies didn't even like your grandmama like that. They did what they had to do to build their family, to build their community. And you know what? That's what they had to do. That was important. And that was the time and era that they lived in. But we're in a different time and era now. If they had those same exact relationships back then, today, they would not last. Most of them. And a lot of them didn't last back then. Granddaddy would go to the grocery store to get some milk and his ass would never come back. My granddaddy did that. So it's not like women are just so much better and men are just so much better back then. That's not the case either. There's a lot of deadbeat ass niggas. Like, child support needs to be a thing. Now, a lot of the women abuse that system, and some of them pay for it by getting less money after they put a man on child support. Some men need to put themselves on child support. I'll say that too. But at the same time, something to understand with certain situations is that traditional dating wasn't automatically better. It wasn't. There were a lot of pitfalls that came with it. A lot of outside babies. A lot of abuse. And not just on the man side either. You know, a man cheat on his wife because, you know, she got out of shape. He not really feeling her like that. She kind of prudish because, you know, Madonna whore complex permeated throughout the society. So she'll cheat on him. She'll come in there, put the hot grits on his ass. A lot of niggas' granddaddies they showed up missing. They were no longer alive. And the grandmothers either poisoned him, or poisoned his mistress, or killed him and took him out to the country, and he was never seen or heard of again. A lot of those marriages were loveless. And love is not the answer. Love is the answer to a lot of things, but love is not necessarily what's just going to automatically solve relationships. There's plenty of people that you love that you couldn't have made a relationship work with. The answer is your masculine feminine dynamic, a man's ability to lead and guide, his ability to plan, a woman's ability to be receptive, feminine, and submissive with that man, for them to become a unit as far as how they make decisions, having a certain chain of command that's built on his competence and her respecting his mind. But a lot of this is not going to be based on just a woman being logical. It's going to be based off of, does she sexually desire this man and does she respect him? Cheating is a big thing. If you respect someone and you desire them and you're satisfied and you communicate your needs to one another, then outside of you just being a person who's not built for monogamy at all, it shouldn't be too difficult for you to be faithful to that individual unless you don't know how to avoid situations where temptation will arise. So we're just having this conversation about these different things, why I'm anti-tradition, but I'm also anti being completely modern. It's something in the middle. So I'm gonna think of a name for it, and I might put that in the title. I'm probably not gonna have the name in this video yet because I didn't think of the name yet. I did this video on the spot. But just, you know, let me know your thoughts. Y'all hit me up, have a conversation. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and to share this shit to people who you think might benefit, or who it'll be a good discussion with, or who gonna fuck with it, or who it may help. You know, a lot of people coming on here and they might comment, not like the video, or they might, you know, watch the video and hit me up and tell me that they enjoyed the video, didn't like the video. Like and subscribe, you know, support the content, because I'm doing this, and I appreciate the support. But if you like it, like it. If you don't like it, fuck it. Don't like the video. But if you like it, go ahead and like the video. All right. Thank you.